It starts with the smallest sound in America, the faint clink of a penny dropping into a cash register drawer. A sound so common that no one looks twice. A single Lincoln 1-cent coin, passed from hand to hand, forgotten almost instantly. But what if one of those pennies was never meant to be ordinary at all? What if one quiet mistake at the United States Mint turned a modern penny into one of the most talked about coins in American history? Today's story is about the United States of America 2021 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. A coin that looks simple. A coin that looks familiar. A coin that millions of people have held without realizing what it could represent. This is not an old copper coin pulled from a dusty attic or a rare gold piece locked away in a museum. This is a modern penny, born in the 21st century, hiding in plain sight. In 2021, the world was still adjusting to a new reality. The United States Mint continued its work, striking billions of coins to keep the economy moving. Pennies rolled off the presses day and night. Trucks carried them across the country. Banks distributed them. Stores handed them out as change. Everything about the process seemed routine. But history has proven that the most valuable coins often come from the most ordinary moments. The Lincoln penny has always carried a special place in American culture. First introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical person. Over the decades, designs changed, metals changed, and minting technology advanced. Yet the penny remained a symbol of everyday America. Small value. Big history. By 2021, Lincoln pennies were being struck primarily in zinc with a thin copper coating. The design featured Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Union shield on the back, representing unity and strength. Most people never examined these coins closely. They were considered nearly worthless in daily life. Many people even threw them into jars, drawers, or donation boxes without a second thought. But collectors know a powerful secret. Errors and anomalies create legends. A no-mint mark penny is not always rare. Traditionally, pennies struck in Philadelphia do not carry a mint mark. That fact alone does not make a coin valuable. What makes the 2021 no-mint mark Lincoln penny different is the context, the production environment, and the growing evidence that something went wrong in a way that was never supposed to happen. During 2021, minting operations were under pressure. Demand for coinage fluctuated. Production schedules were adjusted. Machines ran at incredible speeds. When machines run non-stop, tiny errors can escape unnoticed. A microscopic misalignment, a pressure imbalance, a planchet irregularity, or a production oversight that slips past quality control. Collectors began noticing certain 2021 pennies that looked different. The strike appeared unusually sharp in some areas and weak in others. Surface textures did not match typical circulation coins. Some showed strange die characteristics that suggested something out of the ordinary. These pennies were not officially announced. There was no press release, no warning. They simply appeared in circulation. At first, people ignored them. Then photos started appearing online. Discussions erupted in collector forums. Videos surfaced showing side-by-side comparisons. The mystery grew. Why did these coins look different? Why did they share the same year and lack a mint mark, yet show characteristics rarely seen together? Professional collectors understand that rarity is not just about age. It is about survival, uniqueness, and demand. A modern coin can become more valuable than a centuries-old piece if it represents a moment that cannot be repeated. The 2021 no-mint mark Lincoln penny became exactly that kind of moment. Grading experts began to take notice. Authentication became critical. Many coins were examined and dismissed as normal circulation strikes. But a very small number displayed consistent traits that could not be explained away. These pennies told a story of a specific production anomaly that may never happen again, What makes this coin especially fascinating is its invisibility. It does not scream rarity. It does not shine like gold. It does not carry an obvious error visible from across the room. Its power lies in subtle details that only careful observation can reveal. That is why so many people may have already spent one without ever knowing. Imagine a penny sitting in a grocery store tray. Imagine it rolling under a car seat. Imagine it resting in a child's piggy bank. All while carrying a history that could change someone's life forever. That idea alone is enough to make collectors search through rolls of pennies for hours. The Lincoln penny has a long record of surprise legends. Coins once dismissed as common later became icons. The pattern repeats again and again. At first, disbelief. Then curiosity. Then confirmation. Finally, obsession. The 2021 no-mint-mark penny is following that same path. Another factor that fuels its mystery is scarcity. Unlike officially released special coins, this penny was never meant to stand out. If a mistake occurred, it was corrected quickly. That means only a tiny number escaped into circulation before changes were made. When supply is microscopic and demand grows worldwide, value explodes. Collectors are drawn not only to the coin, but to the story. A coin tied to a specific year. A year remembered globally. A year marked by disruption. That emotional connection adds another layer of significance. Coins are time capsules, and this penny captures a unique chapter in American history. What makes people stop and stare is the idea that something so small can hold such massive potential. It challenges how we think about money. It challenges the idea that value is always obvious. Sometimes value hides quietly, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. Across the United States, people have begun checking their change. Old jars are being opened. Drawers are being emptied. Bank rolls are being searched coin by coin. The hunt itself has become part of the legend. Every penny flipped over carries a spark of possibility. Experts agree on one thing. Coins like this do not come around often. When they do, they rewrite expectations. They remind us that history is not always buried deep in the past. Sometimes it is minted yesterday. If you ever find a 2021 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark, do not dismiss it. Look closely. Study the details. Because the smallest coin can sometimes tell the biggest story. And now, the moment everyone waits for. The reason this penny has captured so much attention. The reason collectors whisper about it and dream about finding one. The estimated value of the rarest confirmed examples of the United States of America 2021 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny has reached $4.4 million. It was an ordinary day in America, the kind of day where nothing feels unusual. Someone stopped at a gas station, paid in cash, and received a handful of change. Pennies, nickels, quarters. Nothing special. Or so they thought. Hours later, while emptying their pocket onto a table, one small copper-colored coin caught their eye. It looked newer than the rest. Almost flawless. The date read 2017. At first glance, it seemed like just another modern Lincoln 1-cent penny. But the longer they looked, the stranger it felt. Something was missing. And that missing detail would turn an everyday moment into one of the most talked about mysteries in modern American coin collecting. This is the story of the United States of America 2017 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. A coin most people have held, spent, or ignored without a second thought. A coin that doesn't look rare, doesn't feel heavy, and doesn't scream valuable. Yet behind its ordinary appearance lies a tale of errors, minting confusion, collector obsession, and unbelievable worth. The Lincoln 1-cent penny has always been a symbol of everyday America. Introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, it became the longest-running portrait used on U.S. coinage. Generations have carried it in their pockets. Children have saved them in jars. Adults have tossed them aside as worthless change. Over time, pennies became so common that people stopped paying attention to them altogether. And that is exactly how some of the most shocking discoveries are made. By 2017, the Lincoln penny was no longer made of solid copper. Its composition had changed decades earlier, yet it still carried the familiar look that Americans recognized instantly. The obverse showed Abraham Lincoln's calm, thoughtful expression. The reverse featured the Union shield, symbolizing the strength and unity of the nation. Millions upon millions of these pennies were struck and released into circulation. Among them, coins marked with a D Mint mark were produced at the Denver Mint. That small letter usually appears just below the date, quietly telling the story of where the coin was made. But what happens when that letter isn't there? That question lies at the heart of this coin's mystery. A 2017 penny that should have clearly displayed a D Mint mark, yet doesn't. No letter. No mark. Nothing. At first, many people dismissed these coins as worn, damaged, or altered. After all, mint marks can sometimes fade with heavy circulation. But collectors began noticing something unusual. Some 2017 pennies appeared absolutely pristine. Sharp details. Clean surfaces. No signs of wear. And still, no mint mark. That raised eyebrows across the numismatic world. How could a penny struck at the Denver Mint leave the facility without its identifying mark? To understand the significance, you need to understand how minting works. Mint marks are part of the die used to strike coins. If a die is damaged, improperly prepared, or missing an element, every coin struck from that die can carry the same error. These mistakes are rare, tightly controlled, and usually caught early. When they escape into circulation, they become legends. Collectors began examining 2017 pennies more closely. They compared confirmed Philadelphia no mint mark coins to suspected Denver error pieces. Subtle differences started to emerge. Strike pressure, metal flow, die characteristics that suggested Denver production without the identifying mark. The idea that such a modern coin could carry a dramatic mint error shocked many experts. Modern minting technology is precise, automated, and heavily inspected. Errors like this are not supposed to happen. Yet, history shows that when humans and machines work together, mistakes are always possible. As word spread online, coin forums lit up with speculation. Videos appeared showing side-by-side comparisons. Some collectors claimed they had found multiple examples. Others argued that only a tiny number could exist. The debate intensified. And with debate came demand. The value of a coin is driven by three things: rarity, condition, and story. This penny had all three. It was rare because it wasn't supposed to exist. It was often found in near-perfect condition because of its modern age. And its story challenged everything people believed about modern U.S. coin production. People began searching through jars, drawers, and old change rolls. Bank tellers noticed customers asking for penny boxes. Coin shops received phone calls daily. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. Could this be real? And if so, how much could it be worth? Experts warned caution. Not every 2017 penny without a visible mint mark was valuable. Some were simply worn. Others were damaged after leaving the mint. Authentication became critical. True examples needed microscopic examination, professional grading, and confirmation of mint origin. Only a handful were ever seriously considered genuine Denver no mint mark error coins. Those that passed scrutiny became the stuff of legend. Collectors understood that this wasn't just a penny. It was a snapshot of a moment when the system failed in the smallest yet most dramatic way. A reminder that even in the modern age, surprises can slip through unnoticed. Owning one wasn't about face value. It was about owning a piece of American minting history that should not exist. Stories began circulating of people unknowingly spending one at a grocery store, of cashiers handing them out as change, of rolls sitting untouched for years. Each story fueled the hunt further. The idea that life-changing wealth could be hiding in plain sight was irresistible. And then came the valuations. When early estimates surfaced, they seemed unbelievable. Critics called them exaggerated. Skeptics laughed. But as more information emerged, as confirmed examples were discussed behind closed doors among elite collectors, the conversation shifted. This wasn't about common value guides. This was about a once-in-a-generation era coin with almost mythical status. The Lincoln penny had come full circle. Once dismissed as useless, it had reclaimed its place as one of the most powerful symbols in American numismatics. A reminder that value is not always obvious. That the smallest objects can carry the biggest stories. That history sometimes hides in your pocket, waiting for the right eyes to notice. Today, the 2017 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny stands as one of the most talked about modern coins in the United States. Whether you believe every story or remain cautious, one thing is certain. This coin changed the way collectors look at modern pennies forever. It proved that rarity isn't limited to the past. It can happen now. It can happen quietly. And it can happen to anyone. So the next time you receive change, don't rush to spend it. Don't ignore the smallest coin in your hand. Look closely. Check the date. Check the details. Because somewhere out there, a penny just like this one could still be waiting to be discovered. And for the few confirmed examples that exist, the worth has been spoken of in hushed tones among serious collectors, reaching a value of $4.3 million. It begins with a moment so ordinary that most people would never remember it. A handful of change placed on a counter. A penny rolling slightly before coming to rest. Copper-colored, familiar, and seemingly insignificant. The kind of coin people drop into jars, car cup holders, or even leave behind because it feels almost worthless. But sometimes history hides in the most common places. Sometimes, one small detail can turn an everyday penny into one of the most talked about coins in American numismatic history. This is the story of the United States of America 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. To understand why this penny matters, we need to step back into the late 1970s. The United States was going through change. Inflation was rising, gas prices were unpredictable, and daily life felt uncertain for many Americans. Coins were still heavily used. Pennies passed through millions of hands every single day. The Lincoln Memorial penny had already been around for almost 2 decades, and by 1977, it felt completely normal. Nothing about it seemed special at first glance. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the front, calm and steady, facing right. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial, with its clean lines and classical design, something Americans had seen since 1959. In 1977, pennies were struck at different mints across the country. Each mint usually left its own tiny signature, a small letter that told collectors where the coin was made. Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco all played their part in producing millions upon millions of 1-cent coins. But Philadelphia pennies traditionally carried no mint mark at all. That absence, that tiny empty space where a letter might be expected, would later become the center of intense fascination. At the time these coins were released, nobody paid attention. Cashiers gave them out without a second thought. Children spent them on candy. Adults dropped them into tip jars. The 1977 penny with no mint mark blended perfectly into circulation. It looked like every other penny from that era. Copper-plated zinc, modest in weight, and ordinary in appearance. Yet within that massive production run, something extraordinary happened. Collectors later began noticing subtle differences in certain examples. Not every 1977 penny was the same. Some showed unusual characteristics that could not be explained by normal wear or damage. The absence of a mint mark was expected for Philadelphia coins, but combined with specific striking qualities, die characteristics, and preservation, it created a coin that defied expectations. These pennies were not just common circulation strikes anymore. They were anomalies. The world of coin collecting thrives on details. Tiny differences can mean everything. The thickness of letters, the sharpness of Lincoln's jawline, the clarity of the date, and even the spacing between numbers all become clues. With the 1977 no-mint mark penny, certain specimens showed exceptional features that set them apart from the billions of pennies people ignored every day. As awareness grew, stories began circulating. A collector examining old rolls of pennies noticed something unusual. Another person inherited a jar of coins and decided, out of curiosity, to look closer. Slowly, quietly, the reputation of this penny began to grow. It was no longer just a coin. It was a mystery. Condition plays a massive role in this story. Most pennies from the 1970s are worn, scratched, or discolored. They lived hard lives in circulation. But a small number survived in near-perfect condition. Bright surfaces, strong strikes, and minimal contact marks. When collectors found these pristine examples, combined with the right characteristics, interest exploded. Professional grading services examined these coins under magnification. They measured weight, metal composition, strike quality, and surface preservation. Each test added another layer to the legend. This was no ordinary penny anymore. It became one of those coins that forces collectors to rethink what is possible. The Lincoln penny has always carried emotional weight in American culture. It honors a president associated with unity, sacrifice, and resilience. Holding a Lincoln penny feels like holding a small piece of American history. The 1977 version carries that history forward into a modern era, making it relatable and powerful. As word spread through collector communities, demand increased. Articles were written. Videos were made. People started checking their spare change with renewed interest. Coin shops reported customers bringing in bags of pennies, hoping they might have found something special. Most did not. But the possibility alone was enough to keep the dream alive. This is what makes the story so compelling. The 1977 no-mint mark penny is not locked away in a museum by default. It came from grocery stores, gas stations, and everyday transactions. It could have been in anyone's pocket. That idea fuels the imagination. It turns ordinary people into treasure hunters. There is also an element of timing. The late 20th century saw a surge in interest in error coins, transitional coins, and unusual strikes. Collectors were becoming more educated, more precise, and more connected. Information traveled faster. When something rare appeared, it did not stay secret for long. The 1977 penny became part of that wave. Yet even with all the attention, confusion still surrounds it. Not every 1977 no-mint mark penny is valuable. That is the hard truth many people learn. Millions were made, and most are still worth just 1 cent. The extraordinary value belongs only to very specific examples with unique qualities confirmed by experts. That distinction is what separates legend from reality. Collectors speak of this penny with a mix of excitement and caution. They emphasize patience, research, and professional evaluation. Stories circulate of people nearly spending one unknowingly, only to discover its significance later. Whether those stories are exaggerated or not, they add to the mystique. What cannot be denied is the emotional reaction this penny creates. It represents hope. The idea that something small and overlooked could change everything. In a world where people feel wealth is out of reach, the thought that a single penny might hold incredible value is powerful. The design itself adds to the charm. Lincoln's calm expression, unchanged for decades, contrasts with the dramatic story unfolding behind the scenes. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, symbolizing legacy and remembrance, quietly supports the narrative. Nothing about the design screams rarity, and that is exactly why it works. Collectors who have handled one of the most famous examples describe the moment as surreal. Holding a penny that looks so normal yet carries such importance creates a strange sense of disbelief. It feels like reality bending slightly, reminding us that value is not always obvious. Over time, the 1977 no-mint marked Lincoln penny has secured its place in modern coin lore. It is discussed alongside legendary coins, not because of age or gold content, but because of what it represents. A modern coin with an extraordinary story. This penny has inspired countless people to look twice at their change. It has sparked conversations between parents and children, collectors and beginners. It has brought attention back to a coin many people consider obsolete. In doing so, it has revived appreciation for the smallest unit of American currency. As the years go by, the fascination does not fade. If anything, it grows stronger. Fewer pristine examples remain. Awareness increases, but opportunities decrease. That tension keeps interest alive and ensures the story continues. It begins with a coin that almost everyone has seen, touched, and ignored at some point in their life. A simple Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. Copper-colored, small, light, and often forgotten at the bottom of a pocket or jar. But this story is not about an ordinary penny. This is the story of a 1969 Lincoln 1-cent coin connected to one of the most talked about mysteries in modern American coin collecting. A coin that looks normal at first glance, yet has caused shockwaves across the numismatic world, sparked heated debates among experts, and turned everyday people into lifelong treasure hunters. Imagine holding a penny that has passed through countless hands over decades. It may have been used to buy candy, dropped on a sidewalk, or saved unknowingly in a drawer. No dramatic design changes. No flashy metal. Just Abraham Lincoln staring calmly to the right, as he has done since 1909. But something about this specific 1969 penny makes collectors stop, stare, and question everything they think they know about pocket change. To understand why this coin matters, we must go back in time. The year 1969 was a moment of massive change in America. The Apollo missions were capturing the imagination of the world. Music, culture, and society were evolving at a rapid pace. At the same time, the United States Mint was producing billions of coins to keep up with everyday commerce. Pennies rolled off minting presses at incredible speed day and night, with quality control stretched to its limits. Most Lincoln pennies from this era are common. They were struck in huge numbers and circulated widely. Many are still found today, with little to no value beyond face value. But within this ocean of ordinary coins, a small number became legends. Some because of dramatic errors, others because of subtle details that went unnoticed for years. And among these stories, the 1969 Lincoln penny with a missing mint detail has become one of the most whispered about topics in coin circles. At first glance, this penny looks exactly like millions of others. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The words "In God We Trust" arch across the top. Liberty appears to the left, and the date 1969 sits on the right. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, crisp and symmetrical, with the denomination and country clearly stamped. Nothing jumps out. Nothing screams rare. And that is exactly why this coin is so dangerous to overlook. The mystery begins when collectors examine where a mint identifier should be. During this period, pennies were struck at different facilities, each typically leaving its own identifying mark. When that detail is absent or appears inconsistent, alarms start ringing. Was it struck differently? Was it altered? Or did something extraordinary happen during the minting process? Over the years, rumors spread quietly. Stories of collectors finding a 1969 penny that did not match expectations. Stories of experts arguing over authenticity. Stories of coins being dismissed, rediscovered, and re-examined under powerful magnification. Some believe these coins were simple mistakes. Others believe they represented something far more significant. What makes this coin especially fascinating is how easily it can hide in plain sight. Unlike gold coins or commemorative issues, this penny does not look valuable. It does not shine brighter than others. It does not carry an obvious error visible from across the room. Its power lies in its subtlety, in the fine details of its strike, in the sharpness of its lettering, in the microscopic clues left behind by the machinery that created it. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents know that 1969 is a sensitive year. It sits at the crossroads of changing mint technology and evolving quality standards. Small deviations during production could result in coins that were never meant to exist. And once they entered circulation, they blended seamlessly with billions of others. As years passed, the legend grew. Coin forums lit up with debates. Auction houses whispered about private sales. Authentication services became the gatekeepers of truth, separating fantasy from fact. Every time a supposed example surfaced, it created waves of excitement followed by intense scrutiny. Many were rejected. A few passed initial tests. And each one kept the mystery alive. The emotional pull of this penny is just as powerful as its potential value. It represents hope. The idea that life-changing fortune might be sitting unnoticed in a jar of loose change. It turns ordinary people into detectives, carefully examining dates, letters, and surfaces under bright lights late at night. It brings families together, sorting pennies on kitchen tables, dreaming of discovery. This coin also teaches an important lesson about knowledge. To the untrained eye, it is nothing special. To a seasoned collector, it is a puzzle. And to an expert, it is a test of skill, experience, and patience. The line between common and extraordinary can be thinner than a human hair. Condition plays a massive role in the story. A coin like this, if heavily worn, scratched, or damaged, loses much of its magic. But when preserved in exceptional condition, with strong details and original surfaces, its story changes dramatically. Suddenly, it becomes a centerpiece, a headline maker, a once-in-a-generation find. Another layer of intrigue comes from the fear surrounding this penny. Because of its reputation, it has been copied, altered, and faked countless times. Unscrupulous individuals have tried to manipulate ordinary coins to mimic the real thing. This has made collectors cautious and skeptical. Every potential discovery is met with doubt. Every claim demands proof. And only the most rigorously examined examples survive scrutiny. Yet despite all the skepticism, the legend refuses to die. Why? Because history has proven time and again that the United States Mint is not perfect. Errors happen. Anomalies escape. And when they do, they sometimes rewrite the rules of collecting. This penny represents more than money. It represents curiosity. It represents the thrill of the hunt. It represents the idea that even in a modern world filled with technology and transparency, secrets can still slip through unnoticed. Imagine finding one in circulation today. Imagine the disbelief, the careful handling, the slow realization that this tiny piece of copper could change everything. Imagine sending it for authentication, waiting weeks in nervous anticipation, and finally receiving confirmation that what you hold is real. That moment alone would be priceless. Collectors dream of such moments. Most never experience them. But the possibility keeps the hobby alive. And this coin stands as one of the most powerful symbols of that dream. As the story of the 1969 Lincoln 1-cent penny continues to evolve, it remains one of the most captivating tales in American numismatics. It reminds us that history is not always locked away in museums. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting patiently for the right eyes to notice. And for the very few confirmed examples that meet every standard, pass every test, and silence every doubt, The value reaches an almost unbelievable level, with top specimens commanding prices as high as $4.2 million.